Hello everyone, it's Curtis Watson back in a new video, and today you may see that I am starting in Minecraft, but I'm actually not going to play Minecraft. No, today I have something a little bit different. If you will follow me into the headquarters of my little fictional, slightly vanity supporting company, Watson Industries, we have recently gotten a contract from an organization to help them along with a very important endeavor. And here's their contract. If we just open this up, please help us get to space. Sincerely, the Kerbals. Kerbals, huh? Well, I've done a little bit of research on these guys. They're humanoid. They look like humans, but they're like little green men. Not like you or I or Alex the Iron Golem here. Not even like the villagers in this city. I never did show you guys that Christmas tree. It's still up. Well, let me see here. I've come to Watson Industries shipping outlet. We mainly use it for cargo, but some civilian boats are known to launch from here. Oh, and the one aircraft carrier we have. We're still building the military, but that's a pending contract with the government. Here's TJ the chicken. He hangs out here. Anyway, let's board a boat. Woo! Without breaking it. Alright, just getting this boat. Wave hello to the Master Chief statue up there. He's like the Statue of Liberty. He guards this place. Oh boy. I'm hitting lily pads. First, we gotta navigate out to open waters. While I'm on my way to a new space program, I thought I'd show you this. This is the remnants of my world's space program. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with these rockets, except for the fact that Galacticraft is not a mod that is available on Xbox One. So these behemoths never got their chance to fly. And now they just sit here gathering dust. But I kind of like them. I didn't want to get rid of them. Anyway, let's get back on the road, or should I say the water. Alright, so we've come to a little strait, I guess you could call it, right here, just south of the city. It's way in the distance back there, but this is our gateway to the rest of the world. I leave my people behind to go help a different one. Alright, well, I've made it to the land of the Kerbals, and I've been greeted by Mr. Werner von Kerman. He's going to give me the basics of their space program. And I myself have never really built rockets before, that at least that fly, so this information will be very helpful to me. Basic construction. Welcome to today's lecture on vessel construction. I'm Werner von Kerman. Whether you want to put a satellite into orbit, make a transcontinental flight, or step onto the very surface of the moon, you're going to need to build yourself a ship. It should be pretty easy, even if you're not a famous rocket scientist like myself. That was a weird voice. Kind of like a creepy uncle type voice. Anyway, in this tutorial, I will first show you around the Kerbal Space Center, then take you to the Vehicle Assembly Building, where you'll learn how to construct a simple ship. We'll cover adding and removing parts, what the parts do, how to change the performance settings of the parts which have that option, and how to control staging. At the end of the tutorial, you will have a craft fit for a quick hop from the launch pad. At each step, I will lock out all controls other than the ones you need for that step. To change the focus to the tutorial window, use Y plus right bumper. You can press A next to proceed to the next step. If you manage to mess it up, it took even me some time to become as skilled as I am now, you can press the B or back button to go back and fix things. It won't light up unless you do mess up. We are now at the Kerbal Space Center. I'll give you a quick rundown on how to get around. The KSC, for short, is home to the pinnacle of Kerbal endeavor and achievements for space exploration. Using the facilities you can see here, you will be able to manage your space program, create rockets and planes, track your Kerbal explorers as they roam the solar system, find exciting new uses for explosive substances, and, in case of emergency, hire more Kerbals. To find out about each of the facilities, you can select each facility icon. If you need to repair a structure or upgrade them in career, you can do this by pressing X while selecting them. Take some time to select the buildings and see what they each are, and when you're ready, enter the Vehicle Assembly Building, or VAB. Let's see. Astronaut Complex. It contains the living and recreation spaces for all crew members. New applicants also apply here to be recruited. Fully operational. Facility locked, okay. Flagpole, official flag of the space program. Or we could change it. Locked. Launch pad. Oh, here we go. There we go. Right there on the side of the screen. The launch pad is where vessels built at the VAB are launched. We are reasonably confident it's at a safe enough distance from everything else. Runway. Now there it is. At the runway, spacecraft built in the spaceplane hangar have a long flat surface to reach takeoff speed. Conceivably, such aircraft could even land back on it. Well, that's a good feature to have. And there's the spaceplane hangar right next to it. Allows for construction of spacecraft designed to be launched... sorry, hold on. I'm kind of reading that on autopilot there. Spaceplane hangar allows construction of spacecraft designed to be launched from the runway. There, that time I actually paid attention to what I was reading. Tracking station. There it is, right there in the corner. At the tracking station, all ongoing missions can be viewed and focused. Landed craft can be recovered from here as well. Locked, of course. And the Vehicle Assembly Building, right there in the middle. The VAB is where spacecraft are designed and built before being moved over to the launch pad for flight. Alright, let's go ahead and enter that. Oh, Werner's back. Very good. What you see in the middle of this screen is the construction area. This is where parts are placed and your craft is constructed. On the left side of the screen is the Parts Toolbox. It will show all the parts you have available in each of the different categories, once there are any to pick, that is. Oh god, there's that voice again. I'm never going to get used to that. If you want your craft to be controllable, you need a command module, and it's best to make it the first part you place. This part will either contain some plucky Kerbal crew or an automated pilot mechanism. As we're just starting, there's only one choice. Go ahead and pick that command module from the Pods tab. Mark I Command Pod. Originally built as a placeholder for a demonstration mock-up of a rocket, the Mark I Command Pod was heralded as far safer and more reliable option than its predecessors by rocket scientists throughout the world. It is now commonly seen in active service. So grab that. After at least one part is placed, you can look around with the following controls. Pan the camera, right trigger, and right stick. Okay. Orbit the camera, right stick. Zoom the camera, left bumper and right stick up and down. Press RB and Y to talk. Next. If you'd like your pilot to be able to make more than one flight, he or she will have to return safely to the ground, or water, on Kerbin. Parachutes are a simple way to make sure that happens. They can be found on the Utility tab. Navigate through the tab's icons on the left part of the list below. Fuel tanks, engines, command, structural, coupling, payload, aerodynamics. Utility. Mark 16 parachute. Okay, there we go. Slap that right on there. When you're choosing parts, you can view the details of available parts by selecting them in the toolbox with the info effective diameter in each state and what the maximum safe speed for deployment is. What is the maximum safe speed for deployment? 12 meters per second. Alright. 12 meters per second. Try to remember that. Go ahead and select it and put it on top of the command pod. Alright. Some parts, like our parachute here, have configurable options. To see these, we need to show the cursor by pressing the left stick and then press X on the parachute we just attached to the pod. Do that now and you will see the available parameters. Alright, minimum pressure 0.04, altitude 1000. On the parachute you will see that we can adjust our altitude and the atmospheric pressure at which to open. That setting can be quite useful on distant worlds. For now, let's check that the opening height on the chute is at least 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer, because safety is the Kerbal way after all. For the minimum pressure slider, move it at a bit to the right to 0.2. This setting prevents the chute from activating until the atmospheric pressure is above the configured value. On Kerbin, 0.2 is about 9 kilometers in altitude, so even if you stage early and arm the parachute, it will wait until then to activate. You can hide these options by pressing X out of the dialog. When you're happy with that, we can proceed. Alright. Let's check that the opening height on the chute is at least 1,000 meters. Altitude, yes. For the minimum pressure slider, move it a bit to the right to 0.2. There we go. Alright, now we need to add a solid motor. Next up, we need something to make us go. Press A on the Engines tab on the left to show available engines and solid rocket motors. Grab one and connect it to the bottom of the pod. You may need to zoom or move the camera to be able to do so. Engines tab. Hold on a second. There we go. Engines. BACC Thumper Solid Fuel Booster. Alright. Slap that right there. There we go. Zoom out. There we go. Oops, I forgot you're just starting out. You're not a famous rocket scientist, and to make that craft survivable as it stands now, you'd have to be better at rocket science than me. Ha! Impossible. The problem with that craft is that this solid rocket is too powerful for the payload, a single small pod and chute. It will either burn up on ascent from going too fast or burn up coming back down. Even if you survive that, the craft's mass will cause it to fall too fast for the parachute to operate properly, and you'd hit the surface before it could stop you. Okay, I promised to teach you how to change that to make it work in a later tutorial, but for now, let's continue. Well, at least this way I get to tell you about removing parts. Show the cursor by pressing the left stick, pick up the Thumper rocket, and drop it back over the parts toolbox. Okay. Instead, let's add the solid motor that's a better match for a ship of this size. At the start of your career, you will have what I consider rubbish parts. Literally, the motor here looks like and may well be a converted trash can. That said, it does not have it does have enough oomph to get this little craft moving skyward, and quickly. As you progress, you will be able to unlock more engines and other parts. For now, though, let's pick up the RT-5 Flea and connect it to the bottom of the pod. Here we go. It is connected, isn't it? Okay, nice one. You've built the simplest survivable craft possible. We could go launch this thing right now, but it might be safer to explain one other thing first. In the bottom right, you will see the staging stack. Actually, I can't. It's a little cut off for me. I might have to fix that. Let's see if I can do that. Hold on. Settings. Gameplay. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's move it out a little bit more. Okay, now I can see everything. In the bottom right, you will see the staging stack. And it's the box with the number 0 and icons for the parachute and engine in it. This stack shows us which parts will be activated as we stage our rocket. What this shows is that when we activate the next stage, both the engine and the parachute will be triggered. While it could be considered funny to open the chute and fire the engine at the same time, it's not going to give you much of a flight. To fix this, we need to separate the engine and chute into 2 stages. Press Y to open the radial menu and select Edit Stages. You will see a little plus and minus appear to the left of the box. Press A on the plus button to add a new stage. If you add too many, press A on the minus button and the extra ones to remove them. Make sure you have precisely 2 stages. Alright. Edit Stages. Oh. Oops. Excellent. It's important to note that the stages activate from the highest number and then count down. So our first stage will be stage 1, the engine, and our second one will be stage 0, the chute. Now move the engine icon from stage 0 down to stage 1 to give our pilot some comfort. There we go. That's it. We now have a safe, well, relatively safe craft that's ready to go. Let's make sure that if we need this design again, we don't have to build it all from scratch. At the top of the screen, you will see the name for our craft. Untitled Spacecraft doesn't seem so majestic. Why don't you change that to be something more your style, and you can add a description if you'd like to. When you use the load screens later, these names and descriptions will help you to grab the right vessel. Use the pause menu to change the vessel's name. When you're happy with the name, use the pause menu to save it. Rename craft. Let's call it, let's call it, ooh, I got a good one. Experiment 1. No, Experiment Alpha. That sounds better, doesn't it? Change description. The first Kerbal spacecraft constructed by Watson Industries. Because, you know, my fictional company is on contract with these people. Strictly for tests of engine, tests of achieving even the briefest flights. There we go. Save craft. Perfect. All right, Werner, what have you got next? Excellent work. Feel free to play around with the parts and techniques I've shown you, and when you're ready to continue, use the pause menu to exit. Back at the training menu, try the Flight Basics tutorial to learn how to fly this little craft, and then the Intermediate Construction tutorial can teach you more about the editor. Note, any vessels you create here will be lost when you exit. This is just for playing around. Alright, well. We don't have much in the way of options. You know, I bet it would be funny if we stuck on this giant fuel booster. But you know what? I'm trying to go by the book here. I just want to get the basics down before I try anything else. I think now's a good time to outline my goals with this game. Editor Curtis, graphic on the screen, please. Thank you. As you can see, step 1, get off the ground. Very simple and straightforward. I don't even have to stay in the air. As long as I achieve flight for a minimum of 1 second, I will have been successful in this goal. Step 2, which will probably come after all the tutorials, get into space. Again, I don't have to stay in space, achieve a stable orbit or anything. I just have to make it beyond the atmosphere. Step 3, establish a stable orbit. Step 4, break orbit. Step 5, orbit the moon. Step 6, land on the moon. Step 7, walk on the moon. Step 8, return safely from the moon. And Step 9, don't die while returning to Kerbin. And for the moment, those are my only goals. Until then, we'll just continue to do what the tutorial says to do. But anyway, that is that. Let's get on to the next scenario. Basic flight. Learn the basics of flying a spacecraft. In this tutorial, flight instructor Gene Kerman will take you through the essential flight controls and instruments required to launch a simple hopper that you built in Construction Basics. Alright. Oh, I get that. That's a play on Gene Cernan. And I forget what Gene Cernan actually did. I think obviously he was a famous person at NASA, but I've forgotten exactly what he does. I just recognize the name. Editor Curtis, bring up a brief Wikipedia blurb about him. Thank you. Hello, Gene. Welcome to the Kerbal Space Center launch facility. I'm Gene Kerman, and I will teach you the basics of piloting a spacecraft. I trust you've already checked the basic construction tutorial. If not, I recommend you do so before going through to this one. Today we will do a run-through of all the important controls of your spacecraft. Our little hopper from your basic construction lesson with Werner may not have all of them, but we'll do a full run-through once and see how it flies. Oh, we've already got a pilot, Valentina Kerman. Flying a spacecraft is all about being in control of a generally very chaotic situation. As a pilot, your main flight controls will affect the pitch, yaw, and roll of the ship. Let's look at those first. All the other controls will be locked until they're needed for this tutorial as closed. Or is closed. Pitch, yaw, and roll are the three directions you will rotate your craft. To help you visualize these, we've taken a holiday snap of the hopper below. Alright, so roll is when we're flying, we rotate it either left or right. Yaw is spin the craft on its own to the left or right. Yaw is turning, roll is roll, and pitch is up or down. Yeah, that seems right. Pitch up, pitch down, roll left, roll right, turn, yaw right, yaw left and... No, roll up and down, yaw left and right. That sounds good. Yaw left, yaw right. Just remember that. You control your ship's rotation using these controls. The left stick, pitch up, down, and yaw left, right. Oh, there's the pitch. Up, down, down, up, down, up. The controls are inverted. And I can also go yaw left and right at the same time. So now I'm turning it down and to the left. I mean, if it was flying. Now I'm going up and right. By controlling pitch, hold on. Left trigger and right trigger roll left and right. Roll left, right, left, right. Alright. Throttle plus pitch, yaw, and roll are the main controls you'll need to master for a successful crash-free flight. We'll skip over the throttle control for now, as this vessel has no need for it. Don't worry, I'll explain it another time when it's of use. Remember that all of these controls have a limited amount of effectiveness, so bigger, heavier ships will probably respond much more sluggishly to the controls than a little small one. It's also good to keep in mind that as stages are separated from the ship, it will become lighter, and this will usually mean easier to control. Next, let's look at the rest of the flight controls. In flight, all the planning you put into the staging sequence of your ship comes into play. From launch to the final deployment of the descent or parachutes, you can control the activation of several of the ship's parts by activating stages. And the A button is launch or activate next stage. Notice the stage indicator in the lower left corner. It shows the currently active stage. Since we haven't launched yet, it's showing the first stage as active. I have your staging controls locked for now, so the stage indicator is glowing purple. One more thing on staging. If the staging setup is causing strife, or you change your mind about something, you can edit the stage sequence on the fly, pun intended. No need to go back to the assembly facility. Okay, got it. An important part of flying is knowing how your ship is oriented and where it's going. That's why a good pilot is always aware of the ship's attitude, where it is pointing, and its velocity vector, where it is going. These aren't always the same direction, and as your skills improve, you should pick up on these. The big round instrument on the lower center of the screen is called the nav ball. This device sums up most of the critical information needed for proper death-free flight. Here you see the ship's nose in relation to the horizon. When you're not pointing straight up, it's easily visible as a line between blue sky and brown ground. Alright. As well as its heading, compass bearing, and speed. You also get several icons that indicate things like your current velocity vector, but we'll look at those later. So right now we're pointing straight up, which is good. In the top center part of the screen, you have your altimeter, vertical speed indicator, and atmosphere gauges. The altimeter will show the distance to the planet's surface at sea level. This means the actual surface may be much closer, so watch out for the ground when landing. So that's a good piece of advice. Your vertical speed indicator shows how quickly your altitude is changing. When launching, it's considered best to keep this gauge pointing up. The atmosphere gauge indicates how deep the ship is in the planet's atmosphere. This helps you know if the ship is high enough for orbiting without losing speed to air resistance, or judge how effective wings and control surfaces will be. Okay, I see. Throttles there on the left, and G-force on the right. That's basically our... Wait a minute, which is the altimeter? Vertical speed indicator is at the top. Atmosphere gauge is on the right. Parachute indicators. One last thing before we give this rocket the green light. In the staging stack, you can see the indicator for your parachute. This indicator shows when the chute will be activated by staging. You already know that. But the background will also change color to indicate when it is safe to stage the parachute. In the foreground, the parachute bed of the icon itself will change the color depending on the parachute stage. Note, however, that by default, parachutes will not deploy when unsafe, even if you stage them. The left three icons show safety, safe, risky, and unsafe to deploy. The chute is unstaged, white in the left three. The right three show the state after staging, armed, deployed, and cut or shredded. When you are familiar with the chute icon colors, we can move on. Alright, if the background's lit up, it shows safety. If the parachute's lit up, it shows status. Okay, enough talk. I'll unlock the flight controls and you'll be clear for launch. At any time, you may press the back button or start button to pause the game. In the pause menu, you can restart the flight or end this tutorial and return to the main menu. For now, get yourself prepared and hit A when ready for launch. Don't forget our hopper only has a solid rocket motor, so there is no throttle control. That's why we didn't reveal the throttle here. Make sure to fly in a nice high arc and enjoy the flight. Alright, Valentina Kerbin, are you ready? I think she's ready. Alright, so let me remember here. Pitch down and up. Left stick up and down. Yaw, that's turn left and right. Roll left and right with the triggers. Roll, turn, pitch. Okay, I think I've got it. Alright, I think we're ready to launch, everyone. Are we ready? Give me a drum roll. Alright, well, the drum roll wasn't supposed to count down to launch. It was supposed to count down to the countdown. So, countdown time. 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. Woohoo! And up you go. You can try practicing some of the controls we just discussed, like pitch, yaw, and roll. We're out of fuel. Also keep an eye on the parachute icon in the staging list. That shows you how safe the current environment is for chutes. Once it goes red, it won't deploy until it's clear again, even if you stage it. I'm sure you'll manage to get used to all these controls and schematics in no time. You can also see whether your crew are enjoying the trip in the lower right corner. Anyways, I'll hang around and watch, and I'll let you know when it's safe to stage your chute. Whoa, whoa, wow! I'm sorry, Valentina. Okay, well, oh, there's roll. Oh, I'm yawing like crazy. Pitch! Pitch, you fool! Oh! Help me! Solid mode is burned out. You're passing the apoapsis to highest point in your flight, and your speed is low enough that it's safe again to deploy to chute. Do so now before you speed up again and hit the surface. Done! Find the parachute now. Wait. Now, time to wait to get low enough and slow down enough for it to deploy safely. Don't worry, it will do so automatically now. Well, maybe worry slightly. If you didn't fly high enough, you may not have enough air under you to slow down before you crash. Well, at least Valentina's having fun. But I'm considerably concerned. Oh. Pitch. Pitch. Ah! Open! Open! Please open! Oh, thank goodness it's opening. Whoa! Oh! Hey! We're alive! Valentina, we did it! Excellent. Ah. Now let's just wait and see what happens when we hit. We're about we're still going about 6 meters a second. Any second now. 3, 2, 1, impact. Well done. You've survived your first quick flight. When you're landed or splashed on Kerbin, and not in training, you can move the cursor just above the altimeter and press A on the recover button on the panel that slides down. Oh yeah, there it is, recover. To ask to be picked up. I've also unlocked the crew hatch, so if you feel like going out for a walk or swim, you can change to cursor mode by pressing LS and then pressing A on the EVA. Hold on. Oh, here it is. And then pressing A on the EVA extravehicular activity button that will pop up when you move the cursor over the portrait of the Kerbal you want to take out for a walk. You can do it... Uh-oh. Oh, there's... Oh, wait, here. Oh, we can view. Oh, yeah, this is inside the cockpit. This is what Valentine is seeing. Okay, this is pretty cool, actually. Sweet. Not much to see, but... oh, there's how we get out. And if Valentina wanted to jump out... let go. Oh, wait a minute, I didn't get to try it yet. Here we go. How you doing, Valentina? She looks alright. None the worse for wear. Alright, well, let's get this recovered. Valentina, you may want to hop back in. Boing. Well, that didn't work. Boing. Ow! Alright, well, I say that is a successful first flight of Experiment 1. So, I guess that ends this scenario. Alright, so we completed our first test flight, and now we're going to complete one more tutorial before we end the video. I think this is going to help us get to orbit. Werner, hello again, glad you could come back. To get started, go ahead and enter the VAB, and I'll give you the overview of what we're building today. Vehicle assembly building. Here we are again. Now, to business. If you remember, in our last construction tutorial, we covered how to build a simple hopper and some of the basics of the construction area. In this tutorial, we'll expand your knowledge of some of the more useful features in the VAB, and we'll build a more complex craft that will be able to get us out of the atmosphere. To build our new design, let's start with the craft we built in the basic construction tutorial, though this one is just called Hopper. This will save us a little bit of time, and the accounting department is always happy when we save on time. Open the pause menu, select Open Craft button, and load the hopper, then remove its RT5 flea motor. If you mess up, you can recreate the craft from the part list by placing a pod first and a parachute on top of it. Note that throughout this tutorial, I will leave all parts you need available to be placed. If you delete the craft file somehow, close the load dialog and open again, and the craft will be back. Alright, so pause menu, Open Craft, Hopper. There we go. Remove the flea motor. Unlike last time, we won't be bringing the whole vessel back, so we can change our parachute stats from what we used before. In cursor mode, press X on the parachute and verify that its deployment altitude is set to 1,000 meters as last time, but also set the minimum pressure slider all the way to the right, 0.75 atmospheres. That corresponds to an altitude on Kerbin of about 2 kilometers and means a much shorter time hanging around during descent. Alright. Set minimum pressure to 0.75. That's not right. Okay. First off, let's change the name of our craft and the description if you want, so that we still have our trash can special for later on. Simply change the name to something other than Hopper and we can proceed. We'll call this can you guess? Experiment 2. Alright. Great. For this craft, we're going to give the ship some additional purpose by attaching a science experiment. We can run these experiments during our travels and get valuable science data for Kerbal kind. There are a number of science experiments to be performed, but at the moment we only have the mystery goo containment unit available. Switch to the Science tab to take a look at it. This is one of the most basic scientific experiments Kerbal scientists have devised, and one of the first things they want to try to understand better. I mean, they don't even know what color the goo is. Alright. Science Mystery Goo Containment Unit. This unit was something one of our engineers came upon while while researching alternative applications for existing technologies. It's a sealed container which appears to be filled with a strange-looking substance. We couldn't reach in or break the canister open, but watching how the goo behaves when subjected to different situations could be very educational. I hope it's not explosive. Alright. So what, just slap this on the side there? Or maybe not. Observe mystery goo. When you pick up the part, you will see that it's designed to attach to the sides of other parts, i.e. radially. If we attach only one of these, then during flight our craft will be unbalanced. One way to solve this is to add an extra goo container on the opposite side of the rocket so they balance. Luckily, we have a symmetry tool to help here. These buttons control symmetry, highlighted, and an angle snap and can be found in the lower left of the screen. Open the radial menu by pressing Y and select Change Symmetry Count. Set this to Radial 2, and then pick up and place a Mystery Goo Containment Unit on the side of the pod near the top. You'll notice that a second one has been placed opposite the first by the Symmetry tool. If you had already placed a lone canister, pick it up, make sure symmetry is set correctly, and place it again so it has a duplicate on the other side. Remember to place the canisters near the nose of the pod. Alright, so change symmetry, radial 2, and then we select one of these, and bingo! If we add too many more parts here, the craft we are making will be too heavy to survive re-entry safely, and too heavy to be slowed by our parachute, leading to sudden impact syndrome, i.e. crash, so we will need to add a decoupler below the pod. Decouplers can be found in the Coupling tab, and will let us split the craft when we no longer need the lower parts. We won't be able to recover the discarded parts, but at least our craft and our Kerbal will survive re-entry and landing. Decouplers can be used in many ways, but for now let's just add one of these to the bottom of the pod. Go to the Coupling tab, grab a TR18A, and place it. Note that stacked decouplers have arrows. The arrows show which side is the side it decouples. Make sure your decoupler's arrow is pointing up toward the pod. It will be by default. Here we go. Bingo! Well done. You'll recall, I hope, that in the previous tutorial we had to adjust the staging stack when we added the engine to our earlier rocket. I do recall that, Werner. When you add a decoupler, the extra stage is automatically added to the stack so that any new parts below the decoupler won't be staged at the same time as those above it. You can, of course, still move these all around, but hopefully this will save you some time as you go. If you ever want to return to this default staging setup, press the reset button at the bottom of the staging stack. This time we're going to use a liquid propellant rocket engine. Unlike solid rocket motors, these engines don't carry their own propellants with them, so we need to add some fuel tanks. Go to the Fuel Tanks tab. We are still using these early parts, so there are only FLT 100s available. This is another area like engines where advancement brings bigger and better parts. We are going to need 5 of these tanks to get us to space. Before you grab 5 tanks from the part toolbox, though, let me give you another tip, because Efficiency is my middle name. It goes right after Vaughn. Werner von Efficiency Kerbin. Once you place the first tank on the rocket, you can duplicate that by holding the X button and pressing on the tank with A. You can do this on the bottom tank a few times and quickly get 5 of these attached without having to go back to the toolbox. So, add 5 fuel tanks to the vessel and we can proceed. Okay. Fuel tanks. Slap that one right there. And now, X, X, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Switch over to the Engines tab now. The swivel engine you see here is obviously different from the flea we used before. This is a liquid engine, and it needs, and burns, both liquid fuel and oxidizer. Funnily enough, that's what we just added to the rocket. Attach the LVT-45 swivel to the bottom of the rocket stack now, and keep an eye on the staging stack to see how it changes. Zoom out a little bit, and stick that right there. We're almost there, and you're doing fine. Maybe not as speedily as someone of my caliber, though. The last thing we're going to need to do is give this rocket a little better stability, so it keeps going the way we want it to. We will achieve this by adding some fins near the bottom of the rocket. Fins can be found in the Aerodynamics tab. Set the symmetry mode to 4 times, so we will place them on both axes. Also turn on angle snap. You can turn on angle snap opening the radial menu with Y and selecting toggle angle snap. That will help you align the fins neatly. Drop a basic fin on the last rocket tank. You'll see the other 3 symmetry counterparts will be placed as well. Alright. Toggle angle snap. Change symmetry to 4 times. Okay. Aerodynamics, basic fin, and it's duplicated on all 4 sides. Excellent. Perfect. Excellent. Now we've got a rocket that will let us reach for the stars. Admittedly, I did say reach for, as this is a basic rocket which can't achieve orbit. But on the bright side, that means re-entry will also be basic. You've done a great job in building a basic hopper and a sub-orbit capable rocket. Hopefully you've learned a few things about how to build a craft and how to use some of the shortcuts that are in here. Feel free to hang around a bit and try your hand at other things too, or perhaps you could look at the next lesson on suborbital flight, where we will see just how well this rocket performs. Or head over to the science tutorial to learn how to advance your career and unlock more parts. If you could show yourself out of the construction facility with the proper option of the pause menu when you're done experimenting, that would be great. Auf Wiedersehen. Any business? Okay. Well, I think that's fine. I don't want to do anything too advanced until we get... Oh my, look at all this. We'll try the suborbital tutorial, and then we will end the video. Oh, launch. Here we go. You know what? Let's... I guess we don't need to try and reach orbit today. We can just try our hand at launching this thing first. Radial preset. You've decided to use the radial preset. You can open the radial menu by holding Y. It displays different options to rapidly execute commands in current scene. Okay. Alright, we got a pilot, Mr. Jebediah Kerbin. And there's our little experiment craft with its fins and science experiments. And this is just a test flight, so... A launches and separates stages once fuel is burned out, I presume. So once fuel is all burned out, and let me just quickly review controls. Pitch down, pitch up. Yaw left and right, roll left, roll right. Alright, I'm going to have to be a little careful with how I use those. Alright, I think we're ready. Give us a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. Woohoo! Alright, not so bad. How you doing, Jeb? Oh, we're tilting a little bit. We need to yaw this way. There we go. Keep yawing. There we go. Looking good, looking good. Look at that ground go. Whee! Oh, whoa, we really throttled up now. Oh, we're at max throttle. That might be good, might be bad, depending on how much you value fuel. But hey, I think we've almost reached space. Whew! All those flames that I'm concerned about are going away. Oh, we're out of fuel. Detached stages. Whee! How you doing, Jeb? How's it looking in there? Doesn't look like much. Oh, it doesn't look good at all. Are we still going up? Yes, we are. Oh, now we're spinning like mad. Ah! Jeb, you might not make it through this one. Ugh. Are we still going? We're still going up. I don't want to go up anymore. Jeb! Make it stop! I want to go down! But hey, I think we're pretty much in space, so I guess that's another goal accomplished. And while we tumble out of control, let's just take a moment to enjoy the view. Look at all that. Look down there's the Space Center. We've really come a long way. I'm trying to roll us back to stability, but it's not working. Jeb, he's just having a good time. I just hope we can say the same thing when we're coming back down. Oh, it hurts to watch. We're still going up. I really let those engines loose. Let's zoom out so it doesn't make me so dizzy. Okay, we're finally starting to go down. We might burn up in atmosphere. Since we have a very poor descent angle. Literally just falling like a meteor. Oh, this is painful to watch. We're probably going to splash down. If, and this is a big if we manage to hold together for a landing. Oh, this is so difficult to watch. When are we going to hit the atmosphere? Jeb, I'm sorry. Just in advance, I'm sorry for putting you through this. Okay, I don't think it's safe to deploy the chute yet. We're probably about to hit the atmosphere. Look at the nav ball going around like that. It's not supposed to look like that. It's just not. Ugh. Okay, our parachute's in the red. We're probably hitting atmosphere. But looks like we might be slowing down on the spin. Yep, we're hitting atmosphere. Okay, we've righted ourselves, thank goodness. Come on, parachute. Change to a good color. Jebby needs his parachute. Excellent. Okay, it's cute. It'll deploy when it's safe. What do you think, Jeb? We really need to get better cockpits. I want to be able to see what I'm doing out here. Oops. Where's our parachute? Oh, there it is. Thank goodness. Ugh. Oh, hold on, Jeb. Ugh. Thank goodness. Coming up on a splashdown. I don't even see the Space Center anymore. Let's check the flight status. Flight events. Liftoff, separation of stage 2 confirmed. Fuel tank splashdown hard and was destroyed. Engine splashdown was destroyed. Basic fin splashdown was destroyed. Stack coupler splashdown was destroyed. Fuel tank splashdown hard and was destroyed. So far, no splashdown for us yet. Highest altitude achieved, 76,111 meters. Highest speed achieved, 1,028 meters per second. Ground distance covered, 42,794 meters. Nice. Not bad. And to top it all off, we brought Mr. Jebediah Kerman back alive. We'll just have to, oh, the camera's... Oh, don't want... No. Oh, ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Gotta be careful with that. You alright, Jeb? Ah! Yikes. And splashdown. We made it. We made it, Jeb. Flight status. We've splashed down. Well, I think it's time to just recover that. Well, we made it, everyone. And I think with that, that is going to be the end of this particular video. So, thank you for watching, everyone. I am personally having fun so far. We're eventually going to start failing. Let's just try to do our best until then. But until then, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.